Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and I thought today would be a great day to do a walkabout in my garden. And if you hear a saw going or the garbage truck, I live in a neighborhood, so those things are happening. My neighbor's doing some sort of sawing project, and the garbage truck is coming through, but things are looking gorgeous. I mean, look at my crabapple. That's prairie fire crab, and then my little Tina crab is looking great. But it occurred to me the other day that yeah, it's a gardening channel, but I have never taken you on a walkabout in my garden. So I thought this would be a great time. And it's something I want to do monthly just to show the progression of things and how things change and evolve and die and all those things and what I mess up on and what I replace them with. I thought it would be fun to cover all that and do it on a monthly basis, maybe even more frequently, depending on time and all that. But let's get started. I'm going to flip this around and take you for a walkthrough, front and back. So looking at the front of my house, this is a little twist cherry tree, and it did bud up really nice, and then we got hit with a hard freeze again, and all those buds, it never opened. I think maybe a handful of flowers opened, not like it does in years past, but it's something I need to get after because I need to shape this, prune it up. I've been so bad about pruning the last couple years, so I do need to reshape this. And then look at my prairie fire crab, you guys. I was devastated last year because a windstorm came through. I think it was like the end of last July, and it ripped out one of the main branches, and it was laying over the front of my house. And then it goes and does this. Let me take you closer. Oh, and this is Geranium macrorhizum in here, mixed in with some blue hosta. But look at that canopy. So it's amazing to me how these shrubs, it went in as a small shrub. When I planted this was tiny, and I've limbed it up to create this beautiful umbrella shape. And I love that tree. So another project was the dry stream bed. And if you hear a saw, my neighbor is doing a DIY project right now. So that's what you're hearing. It's also garbage day, so you might hear the garbage truck. But I put a dry stream bed in here with a rain chain. And it's one of the best things I ever did because I absolutely love watching the rain fall from the gutter here, down the rain chain, down this dry stream bed. Works like a charm. And the creeping Jenny is just insane. That is my nemesis. She is in everything. I wish I'd never planted it actually. I'm also dealing with a lot of chickweed in this bed. This is kind of a mess because I was pulling chickweed. I'm never going to beat that. And bindweed is also getting me too. So, but this structure here was an espalier trellis that my husband and I built a few years ago. And full disclosure, I have killed 3 trees on there now trying to espalier them. It's a really, really difficult site. It's like 2 feet deep and maybe 8 feet, maybe 10 feet long. But the problem is the pH is really high. So we've got the foundation leaching into the soil and then the sidewalk leaching into the soil. So it just creates a very alkaline growing area, and I've amended it. So, and you can see my Gertrude Jekyll rose is struggling here. It's chlorotic. So I did treat that and worked in some iron chelate a couple days ago and watered it in. So hopefully that will change quickly. And if you're seeing this, see how you still see the dark green veins, but it's yellowing up. It should look like deep around the foliage. It should be that beautiful green. And a lot of times the chlorosis will start on the ends and then it'll work its way down the plant. So hopefully I'm catching this soon enough and things will turn around, but the ends are chlorotic. So the iron chelate is the way to solve that. And if you're looking for a really tough clematis, this is a type 3 clematis. This is a toile violette. She is completely unfazed. She's a beast. Deep purple flowers, and my hope is that she will cover this and she will work together. They will mix together this, the Gertrude Jekyll, the pink of the Gertrude Jekyll, and the deep purple of the flower of the clematis will mingle and cover this. Well, that's the hope eventually. So, but A12 Violette is looking really happy. And then it's underplanted with some Millennium Allium. I think I've got some Summer Beauty in there as well. I don't care for the Summer Beauty as much. I just find the coloring is not as bright. It's kind of underwhelming, I think. So I like the Millennium much better. And then backing up here, what else? I've got more allium coming up. I've got some hellebore in here. This whole bed here is going to change this year. I need to reconfigure this. I never really cared for what I did in here. And I've got some Humolo stackies in here. The caramel heuchera is going to get moved. That is a great, great plant, but it's just too hot in this space. This is it's north facing, but it really gets cooked by the western sun, that comes from that direction. So this is going to get moved. And then moving along, I think this is Palace Purple. This is one of the very first heuchera I put in. Really nice ground cover, but things need to be reworked in here. I've got a rhododendron back here that has not flowered in the last couple years. But this area here, I love ground cover, and if you're looking for a ground cover that will work in sun or shade, Geranium macrorhizum is the one to get. So that's this in here, and it's swallowing up my hosta, and I don't even see the blue hosta in here anymore. Oh, here we go. Here's some blue hosta. It's a really nice combination, but I feel like I need to open up some of these spaces in here so the hosta can come through. And then just beyond that is a ruby slippers oak leaf hydrangea. In my opinion, one of the best hydrangeas out there for small spaces. It gets to be about 4 feet tall and wide. No, low maintenance, you don't have to cut it back. Super simple to take care of. And then my arbor. So I need to trim up the yews. And then look at this this is Trevi Fountain lungwort. And then on this arbor I grow, and don't judge me, I grow sweet autumn clematis. And yes, it's a thug, and really think about it before you plant that, because it does seed kind of everywhere. But I love the effect that it has, and it'll completely swallow this up, and then I do have to cut a hole in it because it wants to just eat the entire entry to the backyard. And then I've got, let me take you closer to this. Now this Trevi Fountain, look at that, the lungwort. The bumbles absolutely love this plant, and there's a couple different colored flowers on it. It does melt out. It's got a little more protection here because once the sweet autumn clematis grows up this, it gets some protection. So others in more exposed spaces melt out and they'll flatten out. I don't do any supplemental or drip irrigation. I am the irrigation system around here. So they will, in a more exposed area, flatten out and look pretty sad. And then I've got a boxwood in here, my Weigela, however you say it. This needs to be moved. It's not the right spot for it. It's just too tall. And then toward the back is climbing hydrangea. And it's just, I bought it on the clearance rack at Lowe's several years ago. It looked really pitiful, and it's just now spreading. And my hope is that the hydrangea will grow along here and come this way. And directly in front of it is an autumn brilliant serviceberry. It's on standard. So I have another form of it that's a multi-trunk. And honestly, I love this tree because it brings in one of my favorite birds. It's the cedar waxwing. They love the berries on it. However, it's incredibly, incredibly slow growing. Let me take you a little closer. So all of the beautiful little white flowers that were on it a couple weeks ago will turn to berries, and then I'll have the robins staking their claim to these trees, and then the cedar waxwings will come in, trying to be real slick and quiet and steal a berry or two before the robins just overwhelm them. So back behind it, I've got some, oh gosh, that is a hydrangea arborescens. I think that is, oh, I'm forgetting the name of it offhand, but it's a proven winners. I've got one here, here, and here, lime sublime maybe? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, it's a hydrangea arborescens, another very easy care hydrangea for small, and it's nice for small space gardens. So this will be, I love how low maintenance they are toward the back. And then moving through here is a rose, and then that's Ringo rose here, and some salvia. But let me take you through the front, and then I've got some mountain mint in here too. This is White Wands Veronica. Doesn't look like much right now, but that's one of my favorite perennials. It's really tough, flowers a long time. And then directly behind it is mountain mint, and I planted it last year and it's already begun to spread. This is a hummingbird or a pollinator magnet. They absolutely love this plant. So I think that's a must-have in any garden if you've got a spot for it. Then along here, I made some homemade cloches because I have the rabbits just annihilating my asters, and the asters look pretty pitiful. I can probably take these out. But directly in front of it is a plant. This is feverfew. I think this one was called Snowball, but it came back. I mean, I don't know that it completely died for the winter. It seemed like it was partially evergreen, but it develops the cutest little white button flowers all over it. Isn't that, it doesn't look like much right now, but it will. So I need to do something about the asters that are remaining. The feverfew, I think I'm gonna move that too, because I wanna do something a little bigger along the front of this giant arborvitae, which is one of the very first arborvitaes. Actually, it's one of the very first things I planted in the garden. Then moving along here, so show you the view. So this is looking out from the gate, and this was a kidney bean shaped garden right out here. And then I extended it this way and it extended it that way, so more growing space. And I put in variegated dogwood. This is it ivory halo? No, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, it is ivory halo. So it's a variegated red twig dogwood. The flowers are insignificant. I mean, you plant this for the red twig, the red twigs, the red branches inside. I need to clean this up so we get more red branches for the winter time. And then through here, it's a large urn that I got from Home Goods, and I've got it underplanted with some Millennium Allium. And then there's, I need to figure out what I want to put in here. Usually I do some cannas. I had some amaranth a few years ago, but I was really concerned about my climbing hydrangea. These, I've got two, one on each side. It's James Galway. These are David Austin's on each side of the arbor. Last year I was robbed of flowers because the thrips hit it, and I really need to be more vigilant about keeping an eye on those the thrips, because they just annihilated that the rose bushes. And then here's my little Tina crab. This is a great crab. Look at the flowers on that, you guys. So cute. It is cold today too, so there isn't a lot of pollinator activity, but on a warmer day, the pollinators will be all over Tina and all over my prairie fire. But this is Tina, and she's marking the entrance. This is the side yard garden, so my neighbor's little boys come through here a lot. And I wanted to make sure that I had an opening here because we really like our neighbors, and it's nice to have a pass through so that we can get back and forth easily. And then just beyond that, so this is some silver sage down here, and it overwintered, comes back. It's been coming back pretty reliably every year. And then on the other side here is Sting arborvitae. So this is a new introduction from Proven Winners. This is gonna, I think it gets like a foot wide, the diameter is a foot, but it's gonna be like 18 feet tall. So how awesome is that gonna look if my vision pans out the way I see it? Really tall, skinny, covered with the James Galway roses, if the thrips will leave it alone. And then over here, I absolutely love blue spruce. However, spruces don't do well. They're prone to a lot of fungal issues out here. They're not native to the Midwest, so you know, Colorado spruce is from the Rocky area. They like sharp drainage, and they don't like the humidity that we have out here. So a nice alternative to that is AB's Concolor, or this one's Blue Cloak. I wanted something with blue needles, and this has been in the ground for a few years. So this was something I looked hard for, but look at that, isn't that? I mean, imagine this all filled in with blue. Oh my gosh, I'm just thrilled looking at it right now with the Tina crab and the roses. It's going to be gorgeous. But this is a nice alternative. AB's Concolor is a really nice alternative to blue spruce, because the spruces, especially in my area, we're seeing a lot of blue spruces dying from the fungal issues that they're having. So this is false spirea in here. Look at the color on that. I think this is Mr. Mustard. Isn't that the coolest? And I've got some phlox worked in here. And then more of the Trevi Fountain lungwort. And then just to show you my problem here, look at all the bindweed. I have some serious bindweed issues, you guys. It's driving me bananas. But this is, looking up, this is an autumn blaze maple that I planted several years ago, and it's just happy as can be. And then we'll come around the back. I've got some Invincibelle lace hydrangea. This has been a challenge because planting underneath a maple tree is difficult. And I feel like the only thing that really thrives here that I don't have to babysit the first couple years are hellebores. Like, these are some of those frost-kissed hellebores, and they're unfazed by the dryness of this area. But the Invincibelle, or the hydrangeas, I've really babied them, you guys. And this one is struggling more than the other two because this gets a little bit more sun, so it is stressed more. They do get a good amount of sun. The light filters through really nice here, but they actually look really good. They weren't looking so good a couple weeks ago, and I was a little concerned. I need to clean them up. I still have plenty of garden work to do, but those should in the next couple years be nice too. This is a new lungwort, and I think this is Proven Winners, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I just love the foliage of that. Isn't that gorgeous? I think it's spot on. I don't know. Did I leave my tag in here? I can't remember. Can't remember the names of all these, you guys. And then my frost-kissed hellebores. And then I've got some other varieties from the wedding series too, but plenty of daffodils left. This is my European ginger here. And it took, I think I put in 10 plants. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They all came back. Slow grower, but really nice for the shade. And I just love that waxy leaf. And then I've got a tiarella here. This one was a sample scent. What is this? This is Capture the Flag. Fun and Games Capture the Flag. I love plants with good foliage. So we'll see how that does. It's a wait and see with all these new introductions. In here is my Empress Wu Hosta, and does really well here, and it's surrounded by, when the daffodils are gone, these are all hellebores that come around it. And then moving a little closer, I want to show you something else. Now this is invasive. Be careful of this plant. This is Blue Zinger carex. I cut this back every year because I did experiment with not cutting it back, and I just think the ends look terrible. So I just chopped it back, and I'm going to let it do its thing. But I think it's very slow growing here because I have very heavy soil. It's in a good amount of shade. I mean, it gets some morning sun, but it's not a thug in my garden. So always, before you buy a plant, research it and make sure it's not aggressive in your area. And then over here is, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember it. It's, oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's a viburnum, and can't remember the name, but it's got a very lateral growth habit, lower growing. I have another variety in the backyard, and I wish I could remember the name. I'll have to just put the name up when I find it. And then I've got a Chamaecyparis here, her false cypress. This is Pinpoint Blue, and I caged it because I wanted to make sure. We get a lot of little kids along the sidewalk and stuff, and I wanted to keep rabbits off it and anything else. So that's been in a cage, and it's grown quite a bit. I mean, it was super tiny when I got it, but more, again, blue foliage. I love blue evergreens. I just think they're gorgeous. And then this is a Ringo Rose, small rose. I've got some echinacea here, and then perennial hibiscus. I think that's lilac crush back here. And I leave those branches intact so I remember they're there because it looks dead. Perennial hibiscus is very slow to wake up, much like Rose of Sharon. They're hibiscus. So I do leave the branches on so I remember that it's there, and I can come in and cut that back because I know it's there. So this spot here is allium. This is a bubble bath allium. And I saw this at Walter's Gardens a few years ago, and it's got a much bigger flower on it, maybe the size of a baseball. It's a softer purple color though, but the foliage gets really thick and strappy. I mean, you can tell it's quite a bit bigger than like the Millennium Allium or the Summer Beauty, but those flowers on it are the size of baseballs. So I love that. And then this tree, guys, was quite a find last year, Home Depot. This is Cornus Moss. This is Saffron Sentinel. It's a new introduction. It's pretty new in the Midwest, actually. It's from JFS Nursery. And what I love about it is, I wish I could have shown you the flowers, but these were like a sulfury yellow all over it. Just gorgeous. And then it'll develop berries. The berries are edible. I mean, maybe someday I'll be able to make jam out of it. The birds should love it. And then the fall color on this, it's this deep, deep burgundy. It's got a nice tight form, and I like plants or trees specifically for small spaces that keep a tighter habit because big trees just swallow up small spaces. This stays it's a very upright tree. It's not going to sprawl out to the sides. It's going to stay maybe more teardrop shape. And then directly beyond that is a pufferfish panicle hydrangea. That's a new introduction too. So I mean, this is the newer space, but it's coming along. All right, let's go. Oh my God, I gotta just look at that crabapple. Isn't that beautiful? Gosh, I love that tree. Okay, let's go to my backyard and I'll show you what's happening back there. So, okay, so this is my air conditioner. And I think this was one of my most brilliant ideas. If you have an air conditioner and you want to cover it up, because why wouldn't you want to? If you got a garden, no one wants to see an air conditioner, right? So what I did here, let me back up. Oh, maybe I'll show you from this angle. So air conditioner, eyesore. What I did was I went to Costco. Costco sells these 2 feet wide, and I think they're like 5 feet tall, and they've got very long stakes in the bottom of them. And then I got myself some zip ties. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each trellis was $15, I think. This has been here for years. And then I came in with some zip ties, like I need to zip tie this up again. Came in with some zip ties to keep everybody together, and I think I need to re-zip tie all of them. Oh, here's one that's still intact. So the zip ties help hold it all together, and it camouflages this. And then I've planted hyacinth bean vine on it. I've done cannas around it, or I've done dahlias, but it's a really great way to hide the air conditioner. But you want to keep in mind that you want to allow enough airflow around it. You don't want to put this right on top of it. So a good rule of thumb is you want to, if you're going to plant something around it or create some sort of a barrier like this, you want to make sure it's 2 to 3 feet away from your air conditioner. So I did this, I think I split the difference and I did like 2.5 feet. And I left an opening back here if it has to be serviced. And all this is removable. So if at any point we have to get in there, I can just rip those out and then put them back in when we're done. So it's a really great option for masking an eyesore like that. And that is the only rabbit that I love in my garden. Forgot to bring him in this winter and he did okay. So this is the very first garden I started on when I moved in here 20 years ago. And I'm always tweaking it. So I've got some Angelina sedum, and there's still more. That's not Helen von Stein. That is that silver carpet that just seeds everywhere. I've got some bee balm coming up in here. And this is, all of this chartreuse is Creeping Jenny, and I can't stand Jenny. Jenny is making me crazy because she's swallowing up everything. And then all this wispy stuff, these are drumstick alliums, which I love, the pollinators love as well, but they take over. And if you're not diligent about, pulling them out, you will have a mass of drumstick alliums, but there are worse problems, right? And then this is flagstone that I put in, and I think, you guys, this is my greatest headache. So I dropped in flagstone a long, long time ago and planted between it elephant thyme. And then over time, I got in here, oh gosh, there's chickweed in here, there's crabgrass. So I come in, and like you can see all this in here, there's grass worked into it, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But it does, when it's all cleaned out every year, and it's a yearly thing that I have to do, it looks spectacular because it'll be covered in these little pink flowers. And then I've got the ajuga in flower here. And I think this one is chocolate chip, but that's worked into the thyme as well. And more Angelina sedum, but I absolutely love ground covers. I think that they're the unsung heroes of a garden because they really tie things together. Another good one is geranium sanguineum. That's what's in flower here. And lots of weeds I still have to get over here. I've cut most things back, but things still need a good cleanup. One of the very first hydrangeas I planted was a little lime hydrangea. No, is that little lamb? No, it's little lime. That went in, cut that back, and then I've got a rose here, penstemon, and then this is one of my most favorite Rosa Sharons. That is chiffon, chiffon blush. Oh, it's one of the chiffons, I think. Is it? Gosh, I can't remember now. Why is this getting away from me? Okay, but look at that crabapple tree through there. I just love it. So here, if I step back here, this is the view we have. Oh, this is the view we have looking from our patio into this space here. And when we look this way, we see the side of our neighbor's house. And I wanted to create something here a little taller to kind of block that view so we're not seeing siding. So I dropped in 3 North Pole arborvitaes at the same time. Now look at the growth difference. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He needs to get it together though, because these guys are fine. This little guy is just not having it, so we'll see. And these are naked lady lilies, and they throw up that strappy foliage, and then the flowers just magically appear. People also call them magic lilies, naked ladies. I've heard several different names, but then the flowers appear, I think is it July? They're beautiful pink flower, and they just come out of nowhere. And then here is that multi-stem serviceberry I was telling you about. So this plant has not changed. I think I put this in like 12 years ago. This tree hasn't changed in 12 years. It has been that size, and the only thing that's changed about it is branches have died out of it every single year. So it's thinned out considerably. I threatened it last year. I threatened plants. I'll be like, you need to get it together or you're gone. And I swear they listen. People think I'm nuts, but it's true. This plant looked so beautiful this spring, flowered, gorgeous white flowers, and there's one little flower left. Let me show you what that looks like. Covered in flowers, which means it's going to be covered in berries, which means my favorite bird is going to come in here, and the robins will be here. I mean, the cedar waxwings will be all over it when they're able. See what happens when you threaten plants, you guys? Things happen. They start getting it together. They need to. Also, speaking of tough plants, I didn't mention this. This is Calamintha nepida. And yeah, I got some crabgrass in here, but this plant, another workhorse, and this is like the United Nations. In the summertime, every pollinator, every type of bee swarms this plant. It's a great plant. I just absolutely love it. And then I've got some blackberry lily coming up in here too. That's those guys. I've divided that all over the garden. So let's move along. Now this side, this is off the corner. Okay, it was really cold last night. My cover came off of my trumpet tree. Why am I not remembering these names? So this is in here. This is some lemon squeeze pennisetum. And then this is a clematis. This is a bush clematis called Stand By Me that I absolutely love, and it does really well in my garden. And I've got coneflower in here. And then I flanked each end of my patio. These are Centennial Blush magnolias, and they flowered beautifully this year too. And then across from that in this area is one of my Ito peonies. This is Cora Louise, and then I forget the variety of that, Hosta. But these are trees from the Chicagoland Grows program. It's a collaboration between Chicago Botanic Garden, the Morton, and I'm forgetting the third one. Anyway, these are tree lilacs. This is Pagoda Gold, or is it Pagoda Gold? Well, I'll put the names on these because I can't remember everybody all the time. Sometimes they come and go. But these have filled in great. They are covered in these gorgeous golden plumes of flowers that the pollinators, the bees, the butterflies, I mean, it'll be covered in red admirals and bumblebees this summer when it flowers. Beautiful plant. And then this one, Jacob's Ladder, look at this one. This is fragrant. This is Polemonium, Jacob's Ladder, but it's just started flowering. And the foliage, when the foliage comes out, it's this kind of a purpley color, and then it greens up, but it still has those purple tinges to it. I've got 3 in here, and I feel like I would love to do the entire area. I had Brunnera in here. This was Jack Frost. A couple years ago, I put Jack Frost in here, and for some reason, Jack Frost does not like it in this area, but the Polemonium, Jacob's Ladder, does. So I think I'm gonna add more Jacob's Ladder in here. And these are my snowflakes, or snowdrops. These are the winter snowdrops. I'm just leaving the foliage, letting that die back on its own, but they have begun to fill in nicely. And some more hellebore. And then this is a panicle hydrangea, the sambucus. This is the black lace sambucus. I cut this back hard, you guys, and I don't care about having flowers on this because I deal with, if I don't cut this back, I take it to about hip height. If I don't cut it back, I deal with elderberry borer, which it's horrendous looking. So I cut it back, and this plant is all about foliage. So you can see it all leafing out, and it's a beautiful black foliage, full sun. A little bit of a wetter area back here. This is kind of a lower spot, so it's a good spot for the elderberry. And when this fills in with the black foliage, man, you guys, it is beautiful. And then my favorite daylily here is Salome Double Classic, and I've divided that time and time again, and that's what's edging out here. I see a good number of weeds in here too I need to get to. But let me show you the back side of my patio. So I have Matronosedum here. This is where I do a lot of annuals, a lot of the dahlias go in. This is a southern exposure, very, very hot space. So I've got some more Captain's Yews back here flanking each side. And then the drops of Jupiter oregano. Now I do chop and drop. I've obviously not chopped and dropped this area yet, but when I cut this back, look at these tufts. It's a great, great ground cover. Can't really see the shape, but they're these wonderful looking little pillowy, kind of a orangey green or yellow green foliage. Pollinators love it. Got some Russian sage in here. Last year I did this entire space, all this back here, was Suncredible sunflowers, flowered nonstop. They're from Monrovia, and it's something I will do every year because it is, I did nothing. You don't have to water them beyond getting them established the first couple weeks, and then they just do their thing. They keep flowering. The pollinators love it. Some Angelina sedum down here, another great ground cover. And then look at this silver sage. This has been coming back. I did start more under grow lights, as I do every year, just to make sure I always have it. But this is another great sensory plant. Look at that. Isn't that the coolest? And then it'll throw up these big stalks of white flowers, another pollinator thing, and some Matrona sedum behind that. And then this again will be dahlias and all kinds of cool stuff in here. I don't exactly know what how I'm gonna arrange this yet, but it looks good. And then this is Boom Chocolata perennial geranium. I am a sucker for great foliage, guys, and this is a really good one. It gets these tall stems of blue flowers, and then the Iris pallida, it gets a purple flower on it, and we all think it smells like Starburst candy. The flowers are, my dog Stella used to love to walk past it and smell it. It was really beautiful. Another panicle hydrangea that I forgot the name of, I can't remember who that is. I don't know. And then I've got vanilla strawberry tree hydrangea. And then all along here are own root rugosa roses. And these guys, this middle one especially, is not looking so good. I need to clean this up too. This is my favorite rose of all time because it's got multi-season interest. It's not like a one and done thing. It gets the most beautiful flowers on it. They're single flowers. The bumbles love it. So this will be covered in single pink flowers with yellow centers, and then it'll bloom continuously. I do cut it back one time. I don't want to cut it, I don't want to deadhead more than once because I want to make sure I get the hips on it for the winter interest. But the fall color on these leaves, I mean, it's like, it's all these different shades of reds and purples and yellows and golds, and I don't know of another rose bush that does that, but this rugosa rose does, and this is Frau Dagmar Hastrup is the variety, and it stays smaller. I used to have a larger rugosa rose here. It was called Hansa. Hansa got to be like here. When I was just getting started, I really didn't pay attention. Oh, you know, thinking, oh, I'll just cut it back and keep it in shape. Well, that's a big pain. You want to get plants that fit your space. And I was tired of cutting it back every year, and they're very thorny, so if I don't have to do more work, I'm not going to do it. And this, I don't have to do more work with this. It keeps a nice shape. It'll get to be about just below the windows, which is where I want it, but I am going to have to do something about this one in the center. And then moving around, this is my garage sale find many years ago. Got that for a couple bucks. It's my favorite. I love it because it brings the hummingbirds and all the creatures. And then behind here is one of my most favorite spaces because it's so tropical looking in the summertime. So right now is this is Sicilian honey garlic. It's a member of the allium family. And then I've got some Globemaster alliums coming up behind that. And then that is my Musabaju or hardy banana back here. And look at all the new growth coming up on this. So that's nice and happy. Glad to see that. Oops. And then some sedum. I think that might be neon. I can't remember. Oh, and below my fountain, and then also in this area here is one of my favorite catmints, especially for small spaces. I just took my mom to Wold-High Sunrise Greenhouse a couple days ago, and she wants something very easy and low maintenance to go beneath her red roses. So I'm like, why don't you just do Cat's Pajamas catmint? So that's what this is. About a foot tall, foot wide, constantly in flower, pollinator friendly. Nothing chews it, rabbits don't get to it. Very easy to take care of. And then coming around this way is, oh, I forget the name of this. This says curly hostas. No, I can't remember it. Anyway, I'll put it on the screen. Some daylilies I need to divide. And then this is my purple pillar Rosa Sharon, which I moved because it was in another spot. But this will cover this whole wall here. This is a very tall side of the wall. But look at that. This is one of my most, I think I say this about all my trees. I absolutely love trees, you guys. And this is an introduction from Isley Nursery. They sent me a stick a couple years ago. This is part of their Jack Frost collection called North Wind. Look at the leaves on it. Isn't that beautiful? And then with the heuchera, the caramel heuchera below it, And then the summer snowflake, that's the Leucojum gravetide giant back here, which is past its prime, but it's just a beautiful spring collection. And I've got a clematis, I forget the name of that clematis, coming up here. And then directly across from it, let me back up. Directly across from it is more of the North Pole arbs. This is a shrub form of the vanilla strawberry hydrangea, some daylilies, and I got an empty spot here. Don't know what I'm going to do with that. My royal purple smoke bush, and this is the rest of the side yard. And I'm black stockings. What is that one called here? This is a plant I don't see enough of in people's gardens, and for some reason it's getting away from me right now. But I think it's a must-have, and I'm going to put the name on the screen. But these flowers, it's called black stockings, but I'm forgetting the proper name for it. This is the variety, actually. The black stockings is the variety. But the leaves, just such a beautiful plant, and the black stems on it. Isn't that amazing? So beautiful. And then another viburnum, and this is autumn frost hosta back here. And then this is an area that I do need to clean up because this is beneath the pussy willows, the creeping Charlie's going bananas. But sweet woodruff I use as a ground cover back here. The daffodils are done. But I've got some hosta mixed in here, Simisophusia, or no, I'm sorry, that's Ligularia. I'm forgetting these names, you guys. And then I had some Sun King Aurelia back here that was really struggling, but it came back, so that's good. And then the creeping Charlie just wants to overwhelm my sweet woodruff. I do need to handle that. And then this is my veg garden that I do need to clean up, but my spring stuff is growing like crazy. All my lettuces, these are all Vigo beds back here. This is the kids' first garden bed size. And then these are, I believe, these are the 6-in-1 beds, and this one has a trellis on it. It's such a great small space solution, but those are all my veg. And then this is just a hog panel trellis. So you can get cow trellises or hog panel trellises. The hog panel was smaller. These beds are 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. The hog panel I didn't have to cut down. It fit perfectly. The cow panel trellis is wider, so I would have had to cut it. This was just a perfect fit for a 4-foot wide bed. And then I've got my raspberry shortcake raspberry in here. And then also I have a jelly bean blueberry. Look at all those flowers. So, and then the chives are coming up like crazy. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so excited. And my garlic, I don't have anything in this bed. I've been saving my sticks because I build trellises with it for my peas. Whiskey barrel. This bed is full of my music hardneck garlic, and then I have some strawberries growing in front of that. So, and plenty of weeds, but that is the veg garden. But this bed here needs a lot of work, so I need to get over to that. Now let's go over to my, now let's head over to my side yard garden, which is a work in progress as well, but I'll show you what's going on over there right now. And this tree here also, let me show you this one. This is another tree lilac. This is ivory silk, and it flowers like every other year. It flowers heavily, and at first I was concerned about that because I didn't understand the flowering cycle of this particular variety of tree. And I thought, okay, maybe I should be putting triple phosphate on it to really trigger flowering, and ended up talking with one of the breeders of this tree several years ago, and he said, no, it's just the natural, it's just the way it flowers. Every other year will be a heavy flowering year, and then the years in between it's sparse. So that's just what it does, but big attractor of the red admiral butterfly. So let's go to the side yard garden now. And I'm really excited to show you this. It kind of looks like just a big pile of dirt right now, but there is a lot happening. So this is the corner, back corner, and then I'll just pan the whole thing here for you first. And in a few months, I think it's just going to be absolutely fabulous. So in this bed, my laundry room window is right here. So I've got a good visual of this whole side yard. But back here is a hydrangea. I did a video on this last year, and it is one of the best hydrangea arborescens. It's a smooth hydrangea. It's one of our natives, or it's a native actually. This one's called Haas Halo. Mount Cuba Center did a study on it and discovered that this was one of the best performing hydrangea arborescens and the most pollinator attracting, is that how you say it? The biggest pollinator attractor of all the hydrangeas they were testing. So I found one at Sunrise Greenhouse. They have a lot of them, guys. So if you live in the Chicago, Illinois area, visit Sunrise. They have Haas Halo and they're absolutely gorgeous. And boy, is it cold out here. So down here are some little tulips with some wild berry heuchera. But these little tulips are some of my favorite. I typically can't grow tulips out here because the bunnies just annihilate them on me. But this variety is one called lilac thyme. This is a species tulip. Or I'm sorry, is it lilac thyme? I think it is lilac thyme. Species tulip. For whatever reason, the rabbits do not touch them. So it's cold right now, so they're closed up. But when they open, they have the sweetest little yellow center. And these, I put a handful of these in here a few years ago, and they are starting to naturalize slowly. And then this is my Munstead Wood David Austin rose that I've been kind of babying because they're not selling those anymore, and it's one of my favorite roses. Super, super fragrant. But this is an anemone, one of the swan anemones. And then this will climb up this, and the fragrance, you can smell this rose all the way to the sidewalk because people always ask where that smell is coming from, and it's just gorgeous. And then here, this chartreusey color is a barberry. This is saffron, mini saffron barberry. And I love the combination of the wild berry heuchera. I mean, I think this color, this saffron color, or lime green color just goes so well with everything in the garden. And then this is my Tamukiyama weeping Japanese maple. And back here is a climbing rose back here. And then over here is another perennial that I feel is the most underappreciated, underused perennial for a shadier garden. And I am going to move these because there's so much shade coming from this now that it's not getting as much light. But here's the thing about this is goat's beard or runcus, or the variety is Chantilly lace. This is an extremely, so when you're down just directly below an eave like this, this is a dry zone. This space here, super dry. But look at, I mean, we need rain so bad. This plant looks like this all summer long, and it throws up the most beautiful white flowers. This will be covered in these interesting white flowers, and then the flowers turn kind of a brown color, but it's so interesting, and I just think that it's something worth considering if you're looking for a workhorse that keeps its color and has fall interest with it as well, and pollinator friendly. Goat's beard is definitely one to consider. And then directly across from it is another weeping maple. This is viridis. We got hit with a frost a couple nights ago, so these leaves got kind of ravaged a bit, but still a beautiful plant. And then this is a mountain hydrangea. It's hydrangea serrata. And this is peppermint patty Bergenia. This is another trial plant, but isn't she cute? And directly back here on this is something I just transplanted from another part of the garden. That is Dutchman's pipe. That is the pipevine swallowtail host plant, and it's got the most beautiful leaves on it. The leaves get huge too, with the most interesting flowers. The flowers look like pipes, and they're kind of buried within the vine, so you do have to lift the vine up to be able to see the flowers. But it's a really cool plant to get the pipevine swallowtails in here. And then back here is anemone. That's Honorine Jobert anemone. This will be all white. It's also called windflower. And coralberry back here. That is, it's a proudberry coralberry. And let's see, some salvia. Check out the spring color on this. This is double play doozy spirea. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? So the new growth comes out that reddish color, and it keeps that red tint to it throughout the summer too, and it does flower. Some salvia back here. I've got smoke bush, another hydrangea. But moving along, this is what I created many, many years ago. We live in an HOA. So we're supposed to keep our garbage cans in the garage, and I said I do not want, dirty diapers in the garage. It's going to reek, so we put them out here, and the HOA came after us and said we need to build a structure to cover this, and I said let me plant some arborvitaes. They will grow in and you'll never see it. So I was right. You cannot see our garbage cans from the street behind the emerald green arbs now. And then this across here is a dogwood. And this is going to be dahlias. I've got a pennisetum in here. This is puppy tails. This is a dogwood. Looks great. It was so tiny when I planted it, and it's just starting to leaf out. And then all of these new growths here, this is gladiator allium. And we're going to have lots of, they're peppered throughout here. Some North Pole arborvitaes to create a nice green wall, because I like the idea when you're walking in from the driveway, which is back behind here. When you're walking in, I like the idea of a transition between rooms. So that's a room back here, and then you'll enter this space here, which this is going to be some more dahlias or daylilies in here. I'm going to transplant. I wanted to mirror the arbs, but in a smaller form, so I chose the North Pole. And then directly in front of it, I did more Honorine Jobert. That's what's coming up. All these little guys in here were transplants from that other patch that I have further back. I just thought that would be gorgeous in the fall, just blowing in this area, just loaded with the anemone. And then further along, this is my birthday present to myself. This is an H. Potter trellis, and it's like 8 feet tall. And I have my Sensation Lonicera, it's Sensation honeysuckle growing on it. And then this is Iceberg Alley. That is a pussy willow, but look at that. It likes a wetter spot. So I located that directly. Our downspout comes this way, wraps out, and it shoots this way. So I've since redirected the water, but this is a wetter space right through here. So I tried to locate it in a spot where I knew it was going to be happiest. So that's where it is for now, unless things change. There's another perennial hibiscus back here. This is another spike. Is it sting? Spike. I always get them mixed up. Is it spike arbor? I think it's spike arborvitae. No, sting arborvitae here. And then some double blue lilacs toward the back that I'm going to train. These are going to be massive. They're shrubs, but I'm going to train them into tree form so that we'll get some bare legs and then the tree canopy at the top with the flowers. And then I'll underplant that with more of something. I don't know what. And then this is a quick fire hydrangea. I prefer hydrangeas with flowers that have a more open natural habit. So that's what this one is. And then more of these are millennium alliums in the front. More of the gladiator allium. These are cone flowers here. This is the deluxe, the double raspberry deluxe coneflower. These are Darwin perennials, and they have come up. I mean, they're so healthy looking, and I just put these in late last summer. More gladiator alliums, and then this is the Tian Shen 7 sunflower tree that went in here, and I've underplanted it with prairie drop seed that I divided from another part of the garden to create this really, I really wanted a beautiful, you know, late summer effect in this garden. I'm going for color, you know, leaf color and shape here, so I think that's what I'm going to get. And then this is my driveway garden. This is a tough, tough garden, you guys. So that's my Elizabeth magnolia. Let me take you a little closer. And still has some beautiful flowers on it, but she's a beauty. One of my favorites, and I planted her when she was just a little stick, and I just love her. But this garden here, I have got nothing but respect for this garden because I don't do anything to it. It's hot, it's a driveway, it's black, no supplemental watering. So sedum, of course, the millennium allium. This is an evening rose hibiscus in here. That's what those stumps are there. And then there's some allium back here, some daylily. There's iris back here. I mean, and it fills in so beautifully. So no complaints. I mean, it's just a tough, tough garden. You gotta have a lot of respect for plants that don't require a lot of coddling, because I don't want to coddle them if I don't have to. I try to go for, you know, as low maintenance as I possibly can. And that is the walk up my side yard garden. And I get so excited because of the possibilities here. It's going to be gorgeous, you guys. And that's my space. So if you've hung in here this long, I think this is the longest video I've ever created, but I wanted to give you a baseline of what things look like right now. And then hopefully over the next, you know, every month going forward, I'll do another walkabout with you to show you how things progress. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you liked the video, thumbs up would be great. I would love for you to subscribe. It really helps me and I would really appreciate it. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.